I had arrived. I was making the six figures, the 5-figure bonuses, and girl, it was the most disconnected part of my life ever. And you probably can relate because we chase the goals, we get the marks, we get the accomplishments, we do the things, and we still wound up empty handed. And especially when we're chasing goals that never were ours to begin with. I mean, we are doing what we're supposed to do, but is it what we really want? And what I had to realize was that we have been taught how to build careers, but no one really told us how to build lives. And the hardest part for me wasn't really the disconnection that I felt. It was realizing that the goals that I was chasing were never really mine to begin with. So the question I want to ask you today is, whose goals are you really chasing? And if you want to understand how we got here and how to start moving forward in a way that works for you, stay right here. If you're new here, I'm Erica Prevail, and I talk about lifestyle redesign. I talk about modern work culture and how I cured myself from corporate brain rot after career burnout. I also talk about wellness, and I talk about creativity. And today is episode 2 in a 4-part series that I'm calling 4 Reasons Why Your Life Doesn't Feel Like Yours Anymore. And today we are focusing on the layer of ambition and direction. And if you watched episode 1, you know that this lens in which I see lifestyle design came from my lived experience, my transformation, and going back and looking over all of the things that I did to change. And when I looked at that, how I changed and how I redesigned my life, not a perfect life, but a life that is mine, it kept coming back into these 4 areas. In episode 1, we talked about time, energy, and capacity, which is layer 1. Well, not layer 1, it's just the first layer that I talked about. And then today's layer, in episode 2, we are talking about ambition and direction. Today's tea of the day is lemon tea, but it also has hibiscus and orange peel. It's still super hot. I can't even take a sip. Need to let that cool a little bit more. But we are going to get into the layer of ambition and direction. So I'm pausing because as I look back over my life and while I was coming up with how I was going to teach and articulate this to you so it could be able to help you, I was just like, just all of the things that come back from discovery. So as little girls, we are given the roadmap. Go to school, get a degree, get your career, get the promotion, keep climbing, keep climbing, keep climbing. That is the roadmap that we're given, and no one really asks us what we want. Or if they do ask us, they're asking us when we're way too young to even understand what we want. Like we're asked in, I don't know, like kindergarten, first grade. I'm sure you probably can remember when you ask, oh, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Girl, I went between saying I wanted to be a teacher, I wanted to be a nurse, I wanted to be a criminal defense lawyer. I said that in middle school. Now, girl, where I got that from, I don't know. I probably heard it or seen it on TV somewhere and said that I wanted to be that. Like, we're asked these things way too early to even understand what they mean. And then we are just supposed to choose this one thing and do this one thing for the rest of our lives. Like that is what we are taught. That is the roadmap we are given. And for many of us, we follow that roadmap. For many of us, we found some level of success. We found some level of success following that roadmap. However, if you're watching this video, you have come to a place or that you're like, this life, like, yeah, this isn't what I want anymore. And that's the realization that I had 4 years ago. And while I'm having these types of conversations right now, because again, so many ambitious women follow this copy and paste approach to their careers and then try to follow that same copy and paste approach in their lives, or haven't even thought about their lives for that sake, and then wake up one day in a life that doesn't feel like theirs, and they're finally in a place where they're like, yeah, something has to change, but I just don't know what, and I just don't know where to start. And that was my story, and that's why I'm having this conversation, and that's exactly why this layer of ambition and direction also exists, because when you're getting to a place of like redesigning and reevaluating and recreating what you want, getting clear on your goals, your vision, your desires, ambition and direction, especially for us ambitious women, that is a place that we're definitely have to look at. And as I've said in episode 1, the purpose of this 4-part series is to start getting you curious about your own life. Start to have you ask questions of yourself that you probably haven't answered before, because asking yourself these types of questions and being really honest with yourself allows for that noticing to happen. And then the noticing interrupts those patterns, and then those patterns can help you Interrupting those patterns can help you make me decisions, is what I call them. Decisions that are based for you, not what your parents, your society, friends, family, mentors, but for you. Start making me decisions, and then start moving forward intentionally in your life. So for me, I feel like if someone in my late teens, like when you're trying to explore college majors, or even when you've gotten into your college major, first semester, second semester, I feel like if someone had have asked me the right questions to help me really explore what my gifts, my talents, my desires were, I probably would have been in the art somewhere, in some type of artistic career. I would have been in that for sure. But, because our family members, our parents, mentors, teachers, they often point us towards the path of stability and financial security, which I completely understand. They're doing that from a place of love and a place of protection, which I understand. But many of us take that path. Like I said, we do get some type of success. I did. And I went into healthcare. I've climbed the ladders in healthcare. I achieved some level of success in healthcare, made the big girl paycheck and the big girl bonuses in healthcare, until I just woke up one day, like completely, like just disconnected from my life, because we're just going through the motions through each season of life, teens, 20s, 30s, I'm in my 40s, and we're just going through the motions, doing what we're supposed to do, but not asking ourselves, is this what we really want? And again, that's the corporate brain rot. If you haven't heard me say that before, if you're new to my videos, corporate brain rot is a concept that I came up with when we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're doing well in corporate America, so no one's really checking on us, and we're also not checking in on ourselves. So we just keep going and doing. Sorry, my camera cut off, but I was saying the corporate brain rot is that fact of we continue to do and not question ourselves. No one else is questioning anything because we're doing well. And then we ultimately end up in a life that does not feel like ours anymore. And I think for me, when I arrived in this place of a level of success by everyone else's standards, that I felt empty. I had the six figures, I had the bonuses, I had the things, but I felt very disconnected because I was not living a life that felt like mine. I was in a relationship, a long-term relationship. I had friends, my family, like all of the things, but I still did not feel like myself. My life just did not feel like mine. And I would say again, we were taught how to build careers, but no one really taught us how to build our lives. And when it comes to this layer of ambition and direction, this is a big part of how I redesigned my life. And while I'm having these conversations in this 4-part series, because it's about asking yourself those deeper questions, because once you start asking yourself the deeper questions, the noticing starts to happen, and then you can interrupt those patterns. After you interrupt those patterns, you can start making decisions that are based on what you need, your goals, your vision, your desires, not your teacher, your mentor, your parents, anyone else, but for you. And that's where that redesign starts to come in at. And the layer of ambition and direction was so important for me, was because I knew when I went back to work that I did not want to throw away my ambition. I am an ambitious woman. And let me clarify too, ambition is not just you have all these goals, you have all these dreams, you have all these desires, but you're actually working towards them. You're putting the action towards them. And oftentimes you're achieving some level of success. That's true ambition, not just, oh, I have this idea, this dream, this desire, but no, you're putting the work in to go after it and get it. So I did not think that I had to throw my ambition away. But what I did realize was that it was going to have to look much different. It was not going to be what it was previously if I wanted my work and my life to look differently. I mean, I just knew that was something that I was going to have to change. And particularly, I knew that I was also going to have to do something I had never done before. And I think that's what a lot of ambitious women have difficulty with, because we're so used to having the answer, having these copy and paste solutions, someone giving us the roadmap, the game plan, the template, because it worked in our careers. But then when we look at our lives and try to do the same thing, it just doesn't work. We're making, many of us, I know I was, I'm sure you probably have too, we're making these $1 million decisions in our careers. But when it comes to our own lives, we're looking for other people to make those decisions for us. And that's why we end up in this space of our lives feel like something is missing. We feel disconnected. We feel like the life that we're living is not ours. I know in my healthcare career, I was making $1 million decisions annually in some way, shape, or form. I was in healthcare, so I was responsible for the way we innovated with equipment, spending millions of dollars on equipment, millions of dollars on infrastructure, millions of dollars off sometimes on staffing and what that long-term strategy would look like. So I'm sure you have made some $1 million decision as well. Even if it wasn't $1 million on paper, long term, it could have made the organization that you work for $1 million. But then when it comes to your own life and the way that you want to make decisions, you're handing those decisions off to someone else. And it's just never going to fit you in a way that is aligned for you when you're handing those decisions off to someone else. And I feel like the part that no one warns us about is that you can build everything you're supposed to, do the things you're supposed to, and still end up in a life that feels like something is missing, still feel like you came to this level of success, like I say, empty-handed. Like, where are my things? Where are my things? But they're not, we have the things, but they don't feel like our things because they really weren't based around decisions that we made based on our desires, our goals, our God-given gifts, and just being obedient. Yeah, for sure. Just being obedient. And I have written down here, I want to read this word for word. I have, we arrived empty-handed because, not because we didn't work hard enough or we failed. We were promised this beautiful, full life that was supposed to be waiting for us at the finish line, but it wasn't there because the goals we were chasing were never really ours to begin with. They were copy and paste solutions of someone else's template. You know, I continue to talk about that. We didn't know that at the time, of course, because we weren't trained to be curious. We were just trying to execute and succeed. And, you know, at the time, of course, we did that because we don't know what we don't know. But we get to this place and we have these new realizations, these new desires that we want for our lives. We just don't want to be headed down the same road that we did before. So something has to change. And again, my realization particularly was not just me feeling disconnected, but when I had that time to really sit and think and look over the last 10 years of my professional career, I just thought, like, were these goals that I was chasing really mine? You know, I just really had to sit with that. And again, once I started redesigning my life, and again, I didn't have this nice structured framework or the lens that I see this through now. I didn't have that back then, but this is why I'm able to articulate this to you now in this way. But I just knew that I didn't want to throw away my ambition, but I knew it would have to look different. And I knew I had to get very clear on not just what I wanted to achieve, but in the direction in which I wanted to go. Because that's something that, again, we were just never taught to fully evaluate in a way that truly feels like our own and not something that someone else just told us we should do. I also feel that, like, we as ambitious women sometimes get into a state, especially if we're in this loop of exhaustion, tiredness, feeling disconnected, feeling misaligned. When we get into that loop, I feel like, again, I can speak to this because I did it too. I've made other videos about this, but we can immediately jump to the conclusion that it's the job. Like, and we immediately go into, okay, how I'm going to get out of here? What's going to be my next job? What's going to be my exit strategy? When do I need to get out of here? I need to go. Let me write this resignation letter. What can I use my skills at here? Instead of just taking a beat. Oh, that is just so funny because that's exactly what we do, because I did it too. We immediately go to the exit plan instead of pausing for a moment and getting curious and actually trying to think about what we're trying to build or where we're trying to go first. Instead of immediately looking for the exit, getting curious about where we're actually trying to go and what would leaving this job, what are we actually looking for the exit to actually solve? That's a much deeper question than as soon as the, our exhaustion starts to kick in. We like, girl, get somebody else to do it. I'm ready to get out of here. But we have to get curious about our lives because, again, I said this in other videos, but you leave that job, wherever you go, there you are. So if you haven't taken the time to really excavate underneath that and see what your life is really asking of you, you're going to continue to find yourself in this same loop. And again, I didn't realize these things until much later. So I'm having these conversations with you today because, again, we have become an expert at everyone else's lives and ideas, but we have become a stranger to our own. And we have never taken the time to ask ourselves some of these deeper, harder questions that require a level of honesty that we've never encountered, rarely encountered, and oftentimes don't want to encounter. And that's also what happens when no one else asks us the questions either, because we don't know what we don't know. But that's why I'm having these conversations. This is so good. And that bitter lemon tastes yummy. And like I was saying before, when it comes to this layer of direction and ambition, I don't believe that ambition is the problem. I think what we have to do is stop allowing the ambition to run our lives, and we have to reset it in a way that is sustainable for us. And it's about reevaluating your life around your goals and your life in a way that's sustainable, not from a lens of only like how much you can accomplish, how much you can execute, how much output you can produce, and really start thinking about how you want to live a full life. And of course, that's going to look different for everyone. And I'm going to always say, I'm not here to tell you what to do. But what I am here is to encourage you and guide you to asking yourself deeper questions and then helping you develop a strategy to help you move your life in a way that is in alignment for you. Because this isn't about necessarily accomplishing less or achieving less, but living your life in alignment what you want and living a fuller, more sustainable life. Because again, your ambition was never the problem. The problem is when your ambition starts running your life instead of you allowing your ambition to be a reflection of your life. And again, if you're in a season where you want to start noticing and interrupting some of those patterns, the Ambition Reset can help you start to do that. It's a 7-day audio series. If that's something that you're interested in, I've linked it down in the description box. But I just want to really bring home to you that this 4-part series isn't another copy and paste template. It's to offer you some encouragement, some inspiration, some guidance to get curious about your own life. Because what worked for me may not necessarily work for you. But you can take these questions that I'm giving you to explore to start uncovering, asking yourself deeper questions, start noticing, start being more honest with yourself. And like I said before, the noticing creates the interruption in the pattern. When you start interrupting those patterns, you can start making more me decisions, and those me decisions allow you to start moving forward in a way that you want to work and live. And you are already in a season where you feel like something is off. You feel it. That's why you're still watching this video right now. You've achieved some level of success, and you might feel like something is still missing. You don't need me or anyone else to tell you what to do. What I want to help you do is to notice, to interrupt the pattern and start making decisions based on what you want. I said it in episode 1, and I'll say it again in this episode, but so many ambitious women just We fall into a pattern where we just want someone to like just give us the answer, just show me the way, give me the steps. And I'll say this till the cows come home. There's nothing wrong with hiring coaches, strategists like myself, reading the books, taking the courses, doing the things. I still do them. But we have to get to a place of where we're not using those as our primary strategies, but we're looking to ourselves for that primary strategy and then using those as supporting resources. And when it comes to ambition and direction, and particularly, you have to find out how you want to reset that ambition. Again, I can give you the patterns, and I have given you the patterns in my product, The Ambition Reset, that help me interrupt it. And you can take what resonates in those and leave behind what doesn't to help you fit you in your life, because you don't need another copy and paste template. Corporate America gave that to us, and we see where that got us. Yeah, it got us some level of success, but now we're in a crossroads of where, I mean, I know I was, and probably you are too if you're watching this video. We're in a crossroads of, this ain't it no more, girl. Like, this is not it. So we're evaluating how to move. And what we need to do is for sure say, this is what I was doing over here, and I want to move over here, but I know I cannot take my mindset, my habits, my patterns that I had over here into here. So that's going to require you to do something a little bit differently. So again, I'm never going to tell you what to do, but you know, I'm always going to give you some questions so you can start discovering something different. If you're still watching at this point in the video, drop the blue arrow emoji in the comments for like ambition and direction. Drop the blue arrow emoji in the comments so I know that you're still watching at this part of the video. So some of the questions that you should ask yourself, again, because like I was in the part where I was laughing, it was like we get to a point of where we're, sick and tired of being sick and tired. And we think that, our immediate thing is like, okay, it's time for me to leave this job. Like, we immediately jump to the job when we need to be evaluating ourselves. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you do need to leave that job. Leaving the job was a part of my story, but that's not always the whole story. And only you can determine that for yourself. So the question that you should ask isn't, should I quit my job? The question you should ask is, what am I hoping that quitting will solve for me? You see how that's a deeper question? Because again, you can quit the job, go to another job, and where you go, there you will be. If you have not taken the time to do some of that inner exploration and excavation around what you want the quitting to actually solve in your life. Also, instead of asking, why do I feel stuck? Ask yourself, what am I outgrowing in this season of my life? And that could look very different. It could be, what are you outgrowing in the type of work that you're doing, in the environment that you're working in your friendship circles. It could be a plethora of things that you can consider when you're asking, why do I feel stuck? Switch that to, what am I outgrowing? And really think of that holistically in all areas of your life. And again, that noticing will help you start to interrupt some of those patterns, start making me decisions, and start moving forward in a direction and alignment that's truly for you, because you've become an expert at everyone else's ideas and strategies, but you've become a stranger to your own. So yeah, this is episode 2 in this 4-part series that I am doing called Why Your Life No Longer Feels Like Yours and How to Fix It. And I'm exploring the 4 life layers. Today, we looked at ambition and direction. In episode 1, we looked at time, energy, and capacity. So we have episode 3 and episode 4 where we'll look at 2 more additional layers. And again, there's no, where should, you have to start here or you have to start there. It's about looking at your life, seeing what part of your life needs the most attention, and then starting there. And like I was saying before in episode 1, I still don't know what this will look like. I would love your feedback in a way that I could support you more. But I'm thinking about creating some type of a resource around the 4 life layers, around, lifestyle design and this lens that I see it through, which are the 4 life layers. I don't know if that'll be a guidebook, a resource, a quiz, a combination of that. But let me know what would be beneficial to you down in the comments. Put a yes. Let me know what you would like. Any feedback can help me just build that and design that, because the last thing that I would want to do is create something that you have no desire to use, that's not going to help you. But I know these conversations definitely could be a first step in support. If this resonated with you in any way, let me know down in the comments. Definitely give this video a like. And the Ambition Reset is linked below if you want a 7-day audio experience with me in your ear, helping you interrupt some of those common patterns that had me in the chokehold before I healed myself from the corporate brain rot, for sure. So this is where we'll end episode 2. I hope you follow me over to episode 3, and I'll see you there. Until the next video. Bye.